doing already millions of dollars a year in business.
Nice.
And so no experience. I said, I have a lot of confidence, maybe a little too much. And so I jumped in. I said, I'm just going to go borrow some money and buy the business.
Mhm.
And so I think one of the things that the biggest mistake I made is not putting a time clock on growth. Like saying, if it doesn't grow to X by X,
Mhm.
I'm selling it and I'm out.
Right.
And I chased it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Leading with Audacious Confidence. I'm your host, Alicia Curry, and with me today is the incredible Matthew Yahes. Did I say that right?
You did, Alicia. How are you doing today?
Great. So let me tell you a little bit about Matthew, and then we'll jump right in. So Matthew is the CEO of Extend Your Team. After growing an e-commerce company to $5 million in annual revenue, Matthew finally figured out how to hire a real professional overseas who could run the business better than him, and is now able to focus on things that really matter. Matthew now connects entrepreneurs with executive level, pre-qualified remote workers to help them scale their business and make more profit. That is excellent. So what was the e-commerce business you were in before you made that transition?
Sure. I actually still own the business. So I'm still in it, but because I hired someone who was good at their job or great at their job, I was able to go do something else. So I'm in two verticals, which is one is gift baskets. The other is wedding favors. I know when you look at me, you think this guy is a wedding guy. It screams wedding. You're
wedding.
Like, he really makes, weddings nice. But yeah, I have like one of the largest wedding favor sites on the internet. So yeah, it's actually super fun. But yeah, so gifts and weddings.
Nice. Excellent. So the first question I usually ask, I already asked you one, but I typically ask my guests is, what is your leadership philosophy?
I think for my team, it's compassion, support, and opportunity. Right?
Right.
So I work with people from a different country. I have 100% remote workforce.
Wow.
And I have for years. And one of the things you have to understand is the Philippines is not the United States. They have a different set of challenges, different set of family obligations, and just things work differently. So I'm very compassionate and understanding about the reality that they live in. It's not better, it's not worse, it's just different. And I think as a leader, you really do need to just understand that people live, even in the United States, they live a different reality than you. People live different realities.
Yes.
And you just need to really be supportive and understanding. And I also like to give all my people as much opportunity to grow as possible. So, the less political correct way of saying it is give them enough rope to hang themselves, right? But
and then rescue them before they actually do.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way, people would talk when you're talking among friends.
Right.
But, with business, I support them in their, give them opportunities for growth and help them succeed to the next level.
And that's really encouraging and very important too, because it's when growth happens, mistakes happen. Things, you're asking people to do things outside their comfort zone sometimes, and sometimes they may not hit it out of the park right away. So it's giving them an opportunity to grow and learn as they grow, because a growth process always comes with challenges, always comes with trial and error. It's not perfect right out of the gate. So that's wonderful.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
It is.
I mean, when they make mistakes, I actually also think that part of it is our fault rather than their fault. Because so easy example is my gift basket business, my person who was running it this year, first time doing it. She's my head of customer service, making very large sales. One of the things she knows but didn't internalize is we only get paid on shipment and you have to upload a tracking number. Seems so simple, but she didn't realize that, hey, by the way, you need to do this for us to get paid because we don't charge the client until then. And she didn't do it for like 2 weeks, right?
Oh,
And so
wow.
it's a mistake. We still got the money.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mistake, but at the end of the day, it's my fault for not putting a system in place to support her to make sure the mistake didn't happen.
Mm-hmm. And that's another great part of leadership is personal responsibility. The buck stops with me. I can't go out and blame people if I didn't give them the right tools or the right direction or the right systems, like you're saying, to help them be successful. So it's all also about taking responsibility for your part as the leader in whatever challenge or mistake that happened. So
100%.
I love that. I love that when you give people an opportunity to grow, even when they make mistakes, it's not, oh my God, look what you did, and make them feel bad about it, because that's not productive in any way, shape, or form.
It doesn't serve you.
It doesn't serve.
Yeah, raising your voice and yelling never serves you and just reveals more about you than them. People are going to make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it's
So,
how we learn and grow. So perfect.
exactly.
As we're talking about, I don't want to get off the topic of mistakes because we're talking about mistakes. And since this show is
Yeah.
about confidence as well, what would be one of your biggest mistakes that you could remember or want to share?
So I think the largest mistake I've made. So I think, when you own look, I bought a business, the e-commerce business I acquired. I acquired it when I had zero experience in e-commerce besides just selling some stuff on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
And it was doing already millions of dollars a year in business.
Nice.
And so no experience. I said, I have a lot of confidence, maybe a little too much. And so I jumped in. I said, I'm just going to go borrow some money and buy the business.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think one of the things that the biggest mistake I made is not putting a time clock on growth. Like, say, if it doesn't grow to X by X,
Mm-hmm.
I'm selling it and I'm out.
Right.
And I chased it. So I chased it probably for 2 years longer than I should have. So I chased it for about 3.5 years.
Mm.
And so once
Were
I
you losing
started,
money?
no, but I was reinvesting most of my profits to try to get it to grow.
Right.
Right. And that was a mistake. Right. It was a mistake. And I just always saw like, oh, it's right around the corner. I see it. I see the glimpse. And what I know now is I should have gated and said, look, by a year and a half, if it doesn't grow by X% or X dollars or whatever it is, right?
Right.
I'm out. I'm going to sell the business.
Uh-huh.
Right. It's not worth my time. So what I effectively did was devalue my time for an extra for 3.5 years. So really 2 years, I devalued my time, and it was just it was a really big mistake and caused a lot of problems. I mean, for me personally, I was working all these hours, and it was just for what? I mean, it was really for nothing. I might as well have just gotten a job because I wasn't getting any benefit to owning my own business.
And I think that's one of the myths about owning, starting up a business or owning your own business, is that you just really start your own job without putting the proper systems in place. Or like you said, if we don't make X by X, let's reevaluate this and see where we're missing and how we need to restructure things in order for it to work, or just sell it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm out. Like that's what it should have been. I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, had I done that from the beginning, it would be in a better position than I am now, where COVID was a black swan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not something like, who would have thought weddings are illegal, right? When you can't have group gatherings, weddings are illegal.
I know.
Right. So how could I have, I would have certainly been better off. But then again, I also wouldn't be where I am today had COVID not happened, because it forced me to pivot and start a new business.
Yeah.
Right. So, there's always opportunity in chaos.
There's always, oh, thank you. There is always, and in fact, that's what in Think and Grow Rich, He says, you know, that is where the biggest opportunities is it often comes in the form of failure or defeat. That's when you start looking for the opportunity. So it doesn't always come wrapped in a bow and say, here's a great opportunity for you. Sometimes you got to look for it.
Yeah, I started my first business a few years into the last downturn. So in 2010, we started it, 2011. And then I started this business, the latest business in in the pandemic. I mean, it was, in May was my first customer, and now we have 50 people for that business
Nice.
as of,
That's
today.
great.
Yeah.
That's great. And that's the business where you're supplying a workforce, so to speak, for entrepreneurs to help them understand how to hire remote workforce.
Exactly. So it's virtual assistants. So basically, you are instead like the problem that entrepreneurs face in the United States is they can't afford the help they need.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a major problem. And so what we do is leverage the fact that different countries have different pay scales.
Yep.
Right. So what's a middle class wage or an executive wage in the United States is not the same in dollars, not the same amount in the
Right.
Philippines.
And the cost of living is very different as well. Yeah, I have a VA, and people look at me and they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, but that's their pay scale. So I pay based on their pay scale. I'm not paying. I'm not shortchanging them or anything. They tell me what their fees are. I'm not dictating to them what their fees are. So yeah,
Exactly.
and it is such an incredible way to establish your business and get the help that you need without really running your business into the ground.
Exactly. There's so many advantages because now all of a sudden, we're getting mid-career professionals, right? So who have all this experience for 16 to 18 bucks an hour, who now can actually help you run your business.
Right.
It's not, someone who's going to just do social media for you. It's actually someone who's going to oversee all your projects, report to you what's going on, follow up, help you manage clients, if that's the type of business you're in. It's a world of difference. And you're, for 16 to $18 is comparatively in the United States, it would probably be like between 80 to 120,000 a year, plus benefits.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's pretty dramatic.
It makes a big, huge difference indeed. So you said you were confident probably a little overconfident when you bought your first business. Where did that come from for you?
I think part of it is growing up in New York, to be honest with you. And New Yorkers, we are very confident of ourselves.
Well, from a young age, you're taking the subway by yourself.
Listen, yeah, I mean, so you're just used to hustling. You're used to believing in yourself, and you're used to believing that, hey, if this person can do it, why not me?
Why not me?
Why not me? Now,
that's great.
It is great. But sometimes it could get you into trouble where you just think you're a little smarter than you are.
You're right.
It's the entrepreneurial roller coaster, right? Everyone wants to talk about the hockey stick, like it goes up to the right. But the truth is, not really for 99.9% of people. And so, I bought the e-commerce business and I had zero. I thought I understood the internet because I use the internet.
Right.
That has nothing to do with it.
It's like I understand cars because I drive a car every day.
Right. Yes. Guess what? If you actually, hey, I like cars. I like, buying cars. I like fixing cars. I'm going to go open a dealership. Yeah, right. So I just learned a lot of lessons the hard way on how the internet really works and what business is and competition and, so it can get you into trouble, but it's also fun. Right?
Yeah.
There's nothing like trying to succeed when you don't have a choice.
And it depends on the type of person you are as well. Whether or not that will absolutely stress you out and send you, like drinking Pepto-Bismol every single day instead of water, or it just flat out excites you and you're like, let's do this, let's hit it, let's go for it. And So understanding part of leadership is also understanding your tolerance for risk and your tolerance for certain things, the unknown. How much can you take before you're pulling your hair out?
Yeah, so I think a lot of it has to do with also risk mitigation. So
Mhm,
it's not that I like, I mean, I don't mind risk,
mhm.
but I'm also comfortable with mitigating risk,
Right,
right? So I'm not going to sit there and try to lose everything, but I'm going to go into a risky environment and say, okay, how do I mitigate this and not lose my shirt, right?
right.
Okay, so in my example, let's go hire the right people. Let's
Mhm.
educate myself about, the different areas of the internet business, right? Let's also, buy a business that's sufficiently large. So, I mean, this is a great example.
It
When I
is
bought a
kind of
business with,
self-sustaining.
right, but not just self-sustaining. COVID happens. There's such a far way to the bottom that when
Mhm.
it bottoms out, it still survives,
Yeah.
right? So because the business did a lot of revenue, look, I couldn't have predicted COVID. In 2008, this business did amazing,
Yeah.
right? But we but it went down so far, but because it was so high, even when it went down, okay, so I make a lot less money, right?
Mhm.
I'm not bankrupt.
Right.
I also was mitigated because we had other businesses to balance out the e-commerce portfolio, right?
Mhm.
So, entrepreneurship isn't everyone is, I think it's a misconception. It's not about risk. It's about opportunity and risk mitigation.
Risk mitigation. Yeah. Very good. Well said. That is really one of the areas. Well, you can know what your tolerance is for it as well. But
Yes.
when you're smart, you have to be able to do exactly what you're saying, mitigate that risk so that you're not looking at losing your shirt. You're not diving into something completely blind.
Yeah.
That's not entrepreneurship. That's, you want to take on a hobby or something, you do something like that.
Yeah.
You want to build a business, you need to be able to forecast and do a few other things to help make sure that your business is sustainable and can grow. So talk to me a little bit about your plan for growth after you realized the mistake that you made. It's like, oh, now how do I fix this?
Yeah. So for me, what I did is I said, in this case, I was just working 14 hours a day. And I was like, what am I doing? I'm valuing my time at very little. And I said, okay, well, let's go get somebody. Actually, I didn't say this. I was going to China with my wife on a family trip. And she said, I really hope you would not work on this trip. Listen, for those people that are married, when your wife says, I would hope, that's really not a request.
That's a direction. That is a direct.
It's like, this is what you're doing.
This is
It
what we're
goes,
doing here.
all right. So she's like, go hire someone from the Philippines to run your business. I said, I've never done, like, I don't know anyone's hired senior level people. She
Hmm.
said, well, guess what? Go figure it out. So I took 2 months and I found someone who was, she ran 100-person company as a chief of staff. I
Hmm.
hired her to be my chief of staff for, at the time, it was 6 people. And she came in within 45 days. I was working 3 hours.
Mm.
Now I probably work 2 to 3 hours a week. And it's more a discussion I have with her than I'm actually doing any work. Right.
Wow.
So what was interesting. So is that right away, operations ran better,
Mhm.
right? I was able to think. So I got out of, so you hear a lot of people talk about work on your business, not in your business,
Mhm.
right? But it's really true, which is why everyone says it. So I was able to focus on other opportunities to grow
Mhm.
my overall, I would say, like, my business portfolio,
Right.
and see what that would look like, rather than just kind of grinding and grinding and grinding.
Grinding and
You know,
grinding. Yeah.
just work. You're saying operations, like, yeah, that matters. That's going to make my business better, but it's not. Growth makes your business better. That's how you make more money,
More
right?
clients. Yeah.
More clients. Optimization is great, and you can make a lot of money in optimization, but you can only optimize so much.
Hmm.
And so during COVID, right, what happened was, obviously the wedding business just dried up. It dried up completely, but significantly.
For
And
at least for 3 months, there
oh,
was nothing.
we couldn't even ship. My
Yeah.
suppliers were closed.
Yeah.
So
But I think between March and June, like there was nothing happening.
Yeah, and even now it's still pretty slow.
It's
Like
trickling. Yeah.
We're starting to see a lot of uptick, right? Like we had 50,000 people come to the site last month, where previously it would have been probably 120, right? It's like, but we're starting to see an upswing, but people aren't going to buy. They're buying for, August, right? So it's still slow. So I said to her, once we, said, okay, let's, restructure the business, right? And because I've been doing entrepreneurship for a few years, I was able to do it very quickly.
Right.
But I said to her, okay, well, what if, all my friends thought I was crazy when I found you, right? They couldn't believe I gave the key. I mean, business was doing $5 million a year. Like, you're nuts. How are you going to give that to someone you've never met? I said, all right, well, it worked. What if we just go find better people from the Philippines, just better people you can't find because we're Americans, find them for other entrepreneurs to help them grow their business. And she said, yeah, of course we can find people. It's a country of 100 million people, right? They're good people. And so I started on this journey, in May. And like I said earlier, like we're at 50 people now. I mean, awesome. it's, again, opportunity and chaos. So, in one respect, that my business blew up or was on pause, as I like to say, but because I learned the lesson of getting out of my business, I hired the right person to help me. She helped me grow in a way I didn't anticipate when I met her, right? Yeah. I didn't anticipate I'm starting a new business with someone I've never physically met.
Yeah. And we live in a world that with technology now that these things are so possible. 20 years ago, this would not have been possible. So take advantage of the opportunities and the time that we live in as entrepreneurs. This is a global marketplace. Stop boxing yourself into your region.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not just for big businesses anymore. It's not just for the GEs and the, those big Fortune 500 companies that can afford to have a whole work and what do you call them? Warehouses and distribution sites offshore. This is for everybody.
It is for everybody. So right now, look, first of all, we all have to, so one of the things that's coming out of COVID is, everyone is a virtual assistant essentially, because we're all, not everyone, right? But
basically all working.
Are working from home. So what's the difference between Boston and Buenos Aires and Manhattan and Manila? Nothing.
Time zone. Just the time zone.
Except in the Philippines, there's already a culture of working US time zones.
Yes, exactly.
So there is no difference. So, for small businesses, take advantage of that. There's no, and I understand, like if you're a business owner now and your team is working remotely and it's successful, what's the difference in getting someone overseas?
Yeah.
There is none. They're going to be loyal. They're going to be appreciative. They love working with the United States, people from the United States, because we treat them well.
Yeah.
And take advantage. Get ahead of it now is what I say to everyone, because in 3 years,
it's not going to be the same. No, everybody's going to be taken.
Everybody's going to be doing this.
Everybody's going to be doing it.
So get ahead of your competition.
Absolutely. I wanted to ask you about team dynamics with a remote world. I know a lot of times when I speak to leaders who have a workforce in-house, a lot of things happen, over coffee or just in the hall. You can pop your head in, ask a question. There's that team dynamic. How do you create team dynamics with remote work?
Sure. So the first thing, so I have two different businesses. I have my e-commerce portfolio, right? And I have my virtual assistant business, my outsourcing business.
Right.
Two different. So in my e-commerce business, what we talk to each other every single week, right? I'm on a call, I'm on a call with the team once a week. I'm on a call with my chief of staff every single day, stand-up meeting, but not a phone call, but an actual video call.
Right, a Zoom or, yeah.
when I was running the team, before I had her, I was on the call with every single person individually once a week or once every other week, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now she does that. So we also then, Slack, very important, but
Mm-hmm.
video calls are the most important thing you can do because it's not the same as a phone call. It's I see you, I see social cues.
Mm-hmm.
I just, you talk to people about their family, you get to BS a
Right.
little bit, right? So we already had that. So for the virtual assistant business, I'm honestly like I'm still trying to figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
I meet with my internal team regularly, so I'm on a call with them twice a week. My chief of staff still, once every other day or more, every day or more often. And what we're trying to do is have once a month. We just did a virtual Christmas party, and
Mm-hmm.
so we're doing once a month. We're going to get on, have some sort of trivia night or things like this where
Mm-hmm.
we could just engage each other. The other thing I do is when people get hired 30 days after, we send them a t-shirt, we send them a
Mm-hmm.
mug. So they, again, feel part of the team.
Right.
Now, something I'm going to do that look, if you have one person in the Philippines, you're not going to do this. I'm going to go over the Philippines once everything opens up, probably 3 times a year, and host events to meet everyone in person.
Yeah.
Right. Now, that's something as an agency I'm going to do. An individual entrepreneur isn't going to do it, but you can have relationships with people. I have people working for me for 4 years. You
Yeah.
can have relationships with people, know
That
a
you've
lot
never
about
met.
them,
Yep.
but never meet. So
Exactly. Yeah.
video.
I've done a lot. I have a lot of relationships with people I've never met in person, and they're really, um, really well working relationships as well as great friendships. Never met, never met
Right.
in person.
It's fine. And it's fine. Right. Like
Yeah,
this is,
it's like a pen pal. If you were younger and you had a pen pal before the internet and all that, because yep, I'm pre-internet, um, way pre-internet. And so,
yeah,
we used to write letters to people.
yes. Oh my God. I remember in elementary school being forced to have a pen pal. Yeah.
Right? And you had,
Dating ourselves. We're dating ourselves.
we're dating ourselves, but that's okay. I'm fine. I people know that I don't care about my age. Telling my age, it's not a big deal. Um, Now, the last thing I want to ask you as we wrap up, because we talk so much, we're running out of time already. What is a day in the life of now that you have this freedom as an entrepreneur? What does that look like for you?
Sure. So this afternoon I'm going to go snowboarding. So it's what it does is give you more control of your time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on one hand, I am doing a lot of, I'm growing a new business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my goal is to get it to 100 people by September, 1,000 people within a couple years,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I have to work. I mean, the systems
Yeah.
aren't set up. Like I don't have a fully built out sales team yet. I'm building the race car while I'm in the race, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So
I
I
love
still have
that
to work.
analogy.
But that being said, right, I took 2 weeks off mostly during, the last 2 weeks of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I, I focus on, I'm going snowboarding today. So I get more control of my time. The
Mm-hmm.
other thing I get to do is focus on things that grow the business. And this is what every entrepreneur should focus on. Look, I say stop focusing on operations. I don't mean let your business fall apart, but that's not what makes you money because
Right.
you like have the best processes ever created. Guess what? You're not getting another client because of that.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're not.
Absolutely.
So I focus on growth. I have these type of calls that adds value to my business,
Mm-hmm.
right? I do sales calls right now because I'm the head salesperson.
Right.
That adds value. I talk to the team. My job as CEO is to actually make sure that the team has the tools to succeed in their individual roles. It's not to do work. It's a
Right.
mind shift, right? I had to learn this. And
Right.
so I get to strategically look, okay, we're understaffed in recruiting. I want you guys to hire 2 more recruiters within the next 30 days, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Or I should say
Well,
girls.
that's a question I have for you that just popped up actually is how do you define roles for people in your business? Like if you were doing everything yourself before, how do you now define those roles?
Sure. So when I talk to a client, here's what I say. divide your week into 2 tasks. It's really simple. It's not complicated. Strategic, not strategic. So strategic, tactical. And anything that doesn't require you to think or domain expertise, that's tactical. Someone else should be doing it. Part that out, right? Boom, done. So get rid of it's probably 80% of your day. Get rid of that. Hire someone full time to take that over, right? So now you're only focused on growth. Now, what I also say to people is if that freeing you up from your 80% of your tasks, you can't grow your business by a few thousand a month, you have a bigger problem. You do, right? So, and then once you divide out all the tactical tasks, say, okay, what is now busy work for the person who's actually overseeing all this stuff? Push that down, clearly define a role, bucket it, right? So you're going to have, in my case, you have HR duties, you have client onboarding duties, right? So you bucket that out, and then you hire people to do that, right? They say, okay, how do I further segment it? Let's look at hiring. I say, okay, I have a recruiter. Great. Well, I need another recruiter. Okay, but what are they doing that's busy work for them? Well, they're screening resumes. Well, let's go hire resume screeners. And you see, and that's called scaling, right?
Right.
Basically pushing down the work to specialists in each individual area it just gets further and further reduced, right? And that's how you have a scaled organization.
Nice. All right. Well, this has been very helpful, very insightful, and a lot of fun. Talking to you, Matthew. Is there anything that I should have asked that I didn't ask just as we close?
No, I don't think so. I think this was a really fun conversation. I think that I hope a lot of people get value out of it.
I believe they would. Yeah.
I would just leave with this advice. Entrepreneurship is a roller coaster, right? It's just about staying in the game.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So, don't read what you hear in the media, right? It's don't believe what you hear in the media. It's not just everyone doesn't all of a sudden, you're not Mark Zuckerberg. I'm not Mark Zuckerberg. There's one Mark Zuckerberg.
We're not Elon Musk.
We're not. That's okay. There's a big gap between us.
You're
and
right.
Really successful. Just stick at it, and it's a craft like anything else.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Matthew. I really appreciate your time for coming in and sharing your wisdom with us today. And I just want to encourage everyone to, stay tuned to Leading with Audacious Confidence. We always have great guests that are willing to share their knowledge and expertise with us and their own leadership philosophies and their confidence, as you can see with Matthew here. So as we close, I'm going to encourage you to be bold, be brave, step into your own audacious confidence to lead yourself, your teams, and your organization to success. See, until next time, this is Alicia Curry saying bye. Mwah. Audacious confidence is the unshakable belief in yourself that's so brave and so bold that you step into what's possible despite your feelings, fears, or failures. I encourage you to like, comment, subscribe, and share this out with your friends. To check out more episodes of this podcast, visit our blog, aliciacurry.com/podcast. This is Alicia Curry inviting you to lead your life, your teams, and your organization with audacious confidence. Until next time.